scrutiny for so long, it's no wonder he thinks he's untouchable. Now, here's the dirty little secret. The Biden family's untouchable because the Biden family is the system.
Jesse Watters, the unflinching observer, delves into Hunter Biden's psyche, revealing a belief in invincibility that echoes through the corridors of power.
The 20 shell companies of the Biden family are a labyrinth that the IRS whistleblowers were blocked from cracking. House investigators say foreigners may have laundered up to $50 million into Biden family accounts. So where'd the money go? Where's the 10% being held for the big guy? $10 million to the Biden family, and nobody can tell us what the Biden family business is. No one. And 20 different shell companies. That sounds legit. And it wasn't just money from China. Money was coming in from everywhere. We know that the Bidens had offshore accounts. But what if Joe Biden wasn't paid in cash? Remember this 3-carat diamond the Chinese gave Hunter? It was worth around 80 grand. That diamond is starting to look like a sloppy mistake because it turns out that wasn't the only diamond. Not like the Clinton Foundation, the money just stops flowing. But she's not going to be in charge. So corrupt foreigners were funneling millions into the Biden family while Joe Biden was lecturing them about foreign corruption. What a racket. Fly to a corrupt country, tell them to clean up their act, and then everybody who's corrupt sends the Biden's money for protection.
With unwavering scrutiny, Watters uncovers the mindset of Hunter Biden, painting a portrait of a man who perceives himself as beyond the reach of consequences.
Showing Biden directly exchanged money for policy decisions when he was vice president. Again, a foreign national bribe Vice President Biden in exchange for policy decisions. This isn't just crackdown Hunter. This is a direct link to the President of the United States. The Biden family's Chinese business partners actually purchased $23 million in diamonds between 2016 and 17. There it is. 18 different jewelry transactions. So the Biden family was doing business with Chinese diamond dealers. Everybody knows diamonds, a time-tested way to launder money and hide that money from IRS agents. Diamonds and art, both spaces that Hunter plays in. There's no paper trail or record keeping with diamond transactions. The Biden family business partner, Yi Jingmin, owned a Chinese energy company, but his books kind of look like Tiffany's. This wasn't the first time the Bidens avoided cash. Steve Hunter a $100,000 watch. The Kazakhstanis gave Hunter a $140,000 Porsche. And the Chinese gave Hunter diamonds. Joe Biden had dinner with everybody who lavished Hunter with luxurious gifts. Now, do legitimate American businessmen get paid by foreign clients in diamonds, cars, and watches? No. These look like bribes. We may not realize the total number of bribes or locate Biden's offshore funds or know the source of the funds if diamonds were involved. We don't know how many decades this was going on because, as we showed you Friday, Joe and Hunter have been working rooms together their whole lives. In 2005, fresh off giving a speech at the Jefferson-Jackson Day dinner in South Carolina, Senator Joe Biden was caught on tape shaking hands and schmoozing with Hunter right by his side.
His words become a haunting revelation, peeling back the layers of privilege that surround Hunter Biden, urging us to question the bounds of accountability.
All these corrupt countries have dirt on the Bidens. The whole world now has the United States by the Bidens. So when Joe says he takes orders as president, it makes sense. But setting up 20 shady shell companies to launder foreign cash to, and then spreading it out to your entire fam in order to hide it from the IRS, that's called money laundering. It's called tax evasion. It's called corruption. And this oversight committee is full of bankers, and bankers kind of know fraud when they see it. Around 10 years after that, the Bidens were in business together again on the European continent. Vice President Joe Biden was visiting. Weeks later, his son gets a board seat on Burisma. A month later, Vice President Joe Biden visits Romania, And a year later, Hunter gets $1 million from the Romanians. Now, this is where it gets really fishy. The White House stenographer tells Primetime, a day later, the vice president peeled away from the press to visit Cyprus, a tiny island in the middle of the Mediterranean. Now, it had been 50 years since an American with Biden's political resume had visited Cyprus. This is Grassley's wheelhouse. He doesn't mess around when it comes to whistleblowers. Grassley's the real deal on this stuff. And that's bad news for Biden. This could be hard evidence that Joe was doing political favors for cash. And the FBI and the Justice Department knew it, and they sat on it. Just like they did with the laptop for over a full year in the run-up to the last election. And since this is another election cycle for Biden, I guess it was all part of the plan, another cover-up. But now, Oversight Chair James Comer is issuing a subpoena to the FBI and Chris Wray, ordering them to release this document immediately. And Grassley is telling the White House they better not cover it up by classifying it.
As the world listens, Jesse Watters' voice resonates, piercing through the facade of untouchability, compelling us to acknowledge the implications of such a mentality in the highest echelons.
Burisma is incorporated in Cyprus. It's also where the Romanians' real estate company was incorporated. And Cyprus just happens to be where Russians move their rubles to avoid war sanctions. Our Cypriot producer says the locals all say Cyprus is the place you go in Europe if you want to launder money. So Biden shaking off the press for a surprise visit to the Cayman Islands of the Mediterranean, where his family had millions in shady business moving through. Come on. Now, Biden's been able to avoid the scrutiny for so long, it's no wonder he thinks he's untouchable. Remember when the press actually cared about quid pro quos? Remember when the press cared when the president was corrupt or when foreigners were interfering in our elections? During Watergate, all we heard was follow the money. And now when the money's right out there, no one wants to follow it, do they? MSNBC and CNN didn't even take today's presser. Didn't take it. C-SPAN didn't take it. I mean, C-SPAN. And they have like C-SPAN 1, 2, and 3. Didn't take it. The White House press corps didn't even ask Biden about Congress pressure. This is a massive cover that extends across the entire media landscape. And this is what the media is saying today, if we're saying anything at all. Right, let's see what's out there. Here's Joe Biden's dinner with foreign nationals. Can't say we're surprised when we hear the Department of Justice is sitting on evidence to Joe exchanging political favors for cash. This was happening right under Barack Hussein Obama's Barack Hussein Obama likes to say his administration had no scandals, but his own VP was running a foreign cash register out of his White House.
Something like this.
And it could get worse. How much finances? It was to get cracked open in the Arkansas court. All because the deadbeat dad's trying to lowball child support payments to his love child. Now, meanwhile, Hunter's been shacking up at the White House trying not to get served. And the sugar brother is the guy who loaned Hunter $2 million to pay off his back taxes. But we just found out he's been hiding Hunter's assets. So the 3-year-old girl can stay poor. The sugar brother even took over Hunter's stake in that Chinese company that the White House said that Hunter divested from. And today, the Washington Post just now reporting that federal prosecutors just met with Hunter's defense team, and they're very close on deciding whether or not to indict the president's son on Texas gun charges. Now, maybe this is why Joe hasn't been seen in the last 48 hours.
A brief glimpse into Hunter Biden's psyche, a tapestry of societal reflection and goals, inviting everyone to contemplate the dangers of unchecked influence and entitlement.
So the media's going from the last fake to the Bidens never took money from China, to the Bidens never took money while Joe was vice president. Yes, the whole Biden family took foreign bribes while Joe was VP, but none of the cash hit Joe Biden's checking account. So the argument is,
Let's do this. Introducing Chevy's best lineup of SUVs ever. When it's your time to shine, Chevy's got you. Chevrolet. Together, let's drive.
Corrupt foreign nationals can bribe politicians' families. The families can hide it from the IRS, but as long as the politician doesn't physically take the bribe, it's kosher. That's it. And that's why Biden's the chairman. Remember, the big guy? That's the whole point. It isn't his bank account. His entire family gets bribed because of him. Biden's in charge of American policy in Romania, and Romanians start bribing Biden's family, and Joe Biden has nothing to do with the Biden family. And then they say Comer never showed that Biden did anything in exchange for the bribes. Yeah. So when his family got bribed, you can't prove he did these countries that they favor? Of course you can. Not only did Biden fire the prosecutor, and not only did Biden leave a Russian off the sanction list to block the Biden family, but Biden's family rips in millions in Chinese bribes, and the minute Joe Biden goes into office, he cancels the FBI China task force. And then he covers up the Chinese lab leak, and then he lets a Chinese balloon fly across the country. The media can't connect those dots. And then they say, well, Comer didn't prove Biden knew anything about any of this. Yeah, he did. You got sworn eyewitness testimony from Tony B. that Biden ran the deal. You have documentary evidence that Joe Biden was lined up for kickbacks. You have Joe Biden on voicemail. You have Joe Biden in photographs meeting with their business. If there was no influence peddling, what was Hunter doing meeting with Joe Biden's State Department?
The spotlight narrows on Jesse Waters, a truth seeker unafraid to expose the perceptions that govern the powerful, provoking us to consider the balance between power and accountability.
Are you looking forward to the G7? Who cares? What are they talking about? How do you feel? And then they ask about this election in Turkey, because that's what Americans have been clamoring to know about, the Turkish elections. Well, it turns out Biden has no clue.